In this tutorial, I'll provide an introductory overview of detailed HVAC modelling in DesignBuilder, touching on a few key concepts as I go. During the tutorial, I'll explain what detailed HVAC is and when you may need it, show you how to enable detailed HVAC in model options, discuss detailed HVAC templates for loading predefined systems, and finally, I'll highlight the different types of zone equipment available. DesignBuilder provides both a simple and detailed HVAC modelling capability. The simple HVAC definition method can be used for early stage modelling or by modellers more interested in other aspects of performance, such as heat gains and losses from a building's thermal envelope. The simple method isn't suitable for modelling the performance of HVAC systems, but will enable you to get a feel for the relative importance of HVAC energy consumption compared to other energy flows in the building. The detailed HVAC capability introduced in DesignBuilder version 3 provides a graphical interface enabling you to quickly and easily model most of the HVAC system types available in Energy Plus in full detail. If you have existing models created in earlier versions, you can convert them to version 3 and model them in DesignBuilder using Detailed HVAC. DesignBuilder Detailed HVAC enables you to graphically place and connect an array of different systems and components and assign them to your building or parts of it. You create schematic diagrams of your systems and simplify the otherwise complex process of detailed HVAC modelling in Energy Plus. Here is an example of a schematic diagram for a variable air volume or VAV with reheat air conditioning system defined in the detailed HVAC environment. The schematic shows an air handling unit, or AHU, with coils fed from a water-cooled chiller with its condenser unit and a hot water boiler. The AHU provides conditioned air to the zones, with the zones served by a HVAC system all contained in one component called a zone group. The hot water boiler supplies the heating coils in the AHU and the zone terminal unit, which in this case is a VAV reheat air distribution unit, or ADU. The conditioned air and water is distributed via loops, and I'll introduce you to the concept of zone groups and HVAC loops shortly. You can refine the datasets for the systems and components such as chillers, fans, pumps and system controls by navigating to them and using dialog boxes. A template tool is also available, which enables you to load predefined HVAC templates such as the ASHRAE 90.1 baseline systems in seconds with a few mouse clicks. These predefined systems can then be tailored to suit if required. I'll show you how to load the templates a little later in the tutorial. To start using Detailed HVAC, I need to enable it in the Model Options dialog here under the HVAC header. After selecting Detailed HVAC and clicking OK, a HVAC system option becomes visible here in the navigation panel, enabling you to quickly see when Detailed HVAC is set in Model Options. Once I've navigated to the HVAC system, the Add Zone Group, Add Loop, Load HVAC Template and Save HVAC Template icons are displayed in the toolbar. The options are also available in the info panel here if learning mode is enabled. You can easily create your own HVAC systems in DesignBuilder by creating zone groups, then manually selecting and connecting HVAC components and editing the model data as required. Before we look at that, I'll show you an even simpler way of creating systems using Detailed HVAC templates. These can be used to load predefined HVAC system types, complete with all components connected. Some of these templates have systems containing compliant ASHRAE 90.1 Appendix G settings, enabling you to very quickly and easily model systems that meet code requirements with a few mouse clicks. To load a HVAC template, I must be at the HVAC system level, so that the Load HVAC template icon here becomes available on the toolbar. Clicking that displays the HVAC template dialog here. Clicking on the Detailed HVAC template option brings up the Browse button. I can use that to view and select the various predefined HVAC systems currently available, which includes the 8 ASHRAE 90.1 Appendix G baseline systems. I'll select the VAV with reheat and water-cooled chiller system, as you're already familiar with that from my basic introduction earlier. Once the system is selected, you can preview the schematic diagram and also see a summary of the main components below. This particular system has a number of loops and a zone group. HVAC loops are used in DesignBuilder to model energy flows in a HVAC system, distributing air and hot and chilled water where relevant to HVAC plant and zones. There are 5 main categories of loop. Air loops, which can provide ventilation, heating, cooling and humidity control depending on the system type. Water loops provide hot and chilled water to plant and terminal units. Condenser loops between water-cooled chillers and cooling towers. Domestic hot water or DHW loops, and solar hot water loops. Clicking Next takes me to the Zone Selection dialog. When we create a HVAC system, we need to be able to define which parts of our building will be served by that system. In Detailed HVAC, zones having the same HVAC equipment are grouped together to form zone groups. The zone group concept enables a simplified HVAC schematic representation, as only one set of HVAC equipment and connections need to be defined for that group, while still enabling you to change equipment properties for individual zones, such as terminal unit ratings or efficiencies. This page of the wizard allows you to select which zones are to be placed in the HVAC zone group included with this template. All available zones are selected by default, but I could remove any of them by unchecking the box. The 2 options below enable me to replace all existing HVAC systems with the selected template. Selecting this option causes all existing Detailed HVAC systems to be deleted before loading the template. It's greyed out at the minute as there are no existing templates. There's also an option to override the generic template default settings with user-defined settings for key parameters. I click Next, and if required, amend any of the key model data settings for the air loop and the chilled water and hot water loops of the HVAC plant. Once I've checked the data, I click Finish, and the HVAC system is loaded to the model and displayed graphically. I can navigate to any of the components in the normal way in the Layout tab or via the navigation panel. Here, for example, I'll go to the air loop, then the AHU via the Layout tab, then the AHU heating coil using the navigation panel. I can access an edit dialog for any of the components in the system, which allows me to check and, if necessary, amend the default model data for that particular component. Here I can input the data for the AHU cooling coil, the detail of which I'll cover in a later tutorial. If I do make changes to any of the template systems provided, or want to save a bespoke system I've created as a template for future use, I can do it using the Save HVAC Template icon here in the toolbar at HVAC system level. I'll now briefly discuss zone level components. By navigating to one of the zones in my zone group, I can see the different types of zone-based units available. These are grouped together in the info panel, so you can see we have a variety of forced air units, heating emitters, plus a chilled ceiling and heated floor. The zone terminal units shown are only those which are available for use with the HVAC system components that you've already selected. There are more zone level components which are not shown as they're incompatible with the VAV system already defined. I'll temporarily delete the VAV Reheat ADU to show you the full range of components currently available. You can see that we still have the components you saw earlier, but you now also have air distribution units available for selection, including different constant and variable volume and powered induction units. I'll undelete the VAV Reheat ADU. Most of these zone terminal units will be supplied with conditioned air or water from our plant loops. For example, the VAV Reheat ADU is zone equipment which would be supplied from the supply side of the hot water plant loop. The return water flow is then connected to the return side of the loop after the supplied energy is consumed by the coil, transferring heat to satisfy the heating demand in the zone. Not all HVAC systems require centralized plant with air and water loops. Some building zones may have localized or standalone zone-based systems, such as electric convector heaters and radiators, and packaged terminal heat pumps and air conditioning units.